an era shrouded in the mists of time, within the vast expanse of an uncharted cosmos, emerged the genesis of humankind. How did the odyssey of humanity begin? What secrets lie within our primordial roots? A tale woven into the fabric of the stars. This is the saga of the Anunnaki and their ancient secrets revealed. Most people wonder, why are we talking about the Anunnaki? We must understand they're one of the most advanced cultures that ever existed on this planet. The evidence has been left around for us to gather up and research. We know that the Sumerians came up out of nowhere. They literally formed cities, civilizations. They had intricate layouts and street grids. They had plumbing systems. They had a political system, the first bicameral Congress. They had educational systems. They had a judiciary system. So we know that out of nowhere, when people were supposed to be literally living in caves and going out to be hunter-gatherers, the Anunnaki were actually already teaching mankind in that part of the world, in Mesopotamia, how to be an advanced culture. So that makes it very important. They also had achieved high levels of architecture, high levels of art, and even taught human beings how to make the very first beer. The Sumerians are known for their advanced writing system. They actually created something called cuneiform writing, which they would actually take a stylus and wedge it into wet clay, which would turn into stone. That's where we got the stone tablets left behind. They also developed very intricate street grids and city systems that we're still utilizing today. And of course, we know that they made up all the different languages around the region of Mesopotamia. The Anunnaki had given humankind an advanced level of knowledge of even the star systems and space and the universe. Spirituality and religion all cropped up all around the same time, thousands of years ago.
The Sumerians were not only inspired by the Anunnaki gods to build an earthly civilization, but they also inherited a profound knowledge about the universe and the deep mysteries of the cosmos.
When we look into the ancient Sumerians' knowledge of our solar system, we see something incredible. They actually knew the names, the shapes, and all the sizes, and even the orbital planets of all the planets inside of our solar system. How in the world did they know this? They claimed that this information was brought to them by the Anunnaki. They also knew about star systems outside of our solar system and even in other parts of the galaxy. They left behind star maps that would give somebody with a spaceship the capability of discovering these amazing star systems if they had a way to get there. So we know now that the Anunnaki had super advanced knowledge of the stars, which can only mean they probably came from the stars. The writing is incredible. You take an actual piece of wood and turn it into a wedge. And then you actually take a wet piece of clay and you wedge these letters directly into wet clay, which will turn into stone. The reason why they used wet clay that would turn into stone is because they knew that people like us today would discover these ancient stones and learn about our ancient ancestors and our ancient cultures that existed in a golden age a long time ago.
The tablets tell us the Anunnaki arrived on Earth and created the first man. But were they the original kings and the original Pantheon to rule our planet?
Some people think the Pantheon started in Greece, but it didn't. It actually started in Mesopotamia thousands of years prior. We know this because the ancient Sumerian tablets talk about these beings coming here thousands of years ago, and they said they were the original Pantheon. They called them the gods of old and also the savants. Now, the Sumerian and Anunnaki Pantheon was extremely special, and the reason why is because they had a numeric system. That number that was attributed to each individual god gave them the power that they had to rule over each other and even rule over the entire planet. What's incredible, for example, is Enki, who the Earth is actually named after, had a higher number than his brother Enlil. But even though he had a higher number than Enlil, something happened where their father Anu said, no, we're going to let Enlil have kingship over you, and you will be in charge of genetics and sciences.
Now, what does this concept of lowering kingship mean? I think it has to do with this handing down of knowledge, passing down of understanding, of teachings that embody into us to become who we are. Because how would we act if we weren't governed? We would act violent, uncontrolled. We wouldn't have a direction. And I think that that's why we needed to have that direction long ago to get to where we are now. In eastern Turkey, around this massive lake called Lake Van, is an ancient temple site on the eastern shore called Ionis Temple. And at that temple, we find evidence of these ancient symbols, one of which may be the very first cross in all of history. The cross that's shown at Ionis is not like the Christian cross that became later with the sacrifice that connects to Jesus in the Roman Empire. It's something far different. It's a cross that is equal on all sides, that I believe is the very same cross that went all the way through to the Knights Templar and even the Pope in the Vatican today. This concept of a cross, meaning the totality and balance of all, encompasses this greater understanding of what we are in the universe and how we are playing this role that's connected to this creator, this source, this God. But not a God like the Sumerians considered, like an archetype, a creator, some kind of a designer in the background that woven this whole story together in perfection. And I believe that these ancient symbols and these sites around Lake Van with Ionis and Kef Temple are the missing key to our connection with the divine.
So we see that this kingship and this original pantheon is coming from somewhere not on this planet. Now, if you look at the pantheon from ancient Greece, they had this group of gods that lived atop of a mountain and would look down on mankind, almost as if they were in another dimension. The Anunnaki had the same exact type of a pantheon. And when they arrived to Earth, the Sumerians from the Mesopotamian culture deemed them as their pantheon of gods that they would actually pray to and worship. So could this be the very first pantheon to ever arrive on this planet? Maybe, because the Sumerians called them the gods of old. They even called them the savants, and they worshiped them as the original pantheon that they have ever encountered. So this pantheon eventually began to rule over Earth in different cities. We know this because when they talk about a time where these beings named the Anunnaki came to this planet to build a breakaway civilization. How do we know this? The tablets themselves say that the working class Anunnaki called the Igigi literally started building cities on Earth, digging canals, making waterways, and doing all the hard labor under the tutelage and guidance of the higher level pantheon gods. Watch this video at www.4bk.tv or download the app on your smartphone, Fire Stick app, Samsung TV, Roku, and other app providers.